Create with Franz Sydney. Hello everyone and welcome to the show. Welcome to Create with Franz, the show that shows you how to create the life that you want by using mindset, NLP coaching and hypnosis. And today we're going to talk about a topic which is sadly a very frequently mentioned one, and it's about when relationships break up. So for this reason, people feel very bad, even suicidal, very depressed, they're not good enough. And I brought in the studio a very, very well-known expert, and her name is Beatrice Zampier. So welcome to the show.
So nice to see you. Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure, and I know how well-known you are in our world, and you're winning awards and all sorts and training others and having success after success. So it's, guys, somebody to really listen to today, because we are really going to go through the problems that happen when you sadly end a relationship, or the other person ended this relationship, and you might feel that you are completely empty. You don't have anything to live for. Your life is over. This was the person that you thought was your soulmate, and it really hurts you. You feel a pain right here in the chest. It's difficult, and some people just fall into depression. How they move on? What's the difference? It would be nice to know. And we'll be discussing with Beatrice how advanced conversational hypnosis can be an incredibly useful tool to overcome the huge grief and the shock and not feeling enough and the lack of purpose that comes when a relationship ends. So first of all, we want to see what is advanced conversational hypnosis, and from now on we're going to use an acronym, ACH, because it's so long to say, so we're just going to say advanced hypnosis. And otherwise, we're going to spend the whole time trying to pronounce this. And I'm Italian and you're from Romania. So just imagine all these long words coming there and disturbing the flow of a show. Just call it ACH. ACH is good for you. And I'll go here, the top expert. So I'm going to pass you a microphone, virtually speaking. And just tell us, if you were to talk to somebody who has no idea, what is ACH?
ACH can help you with dealing with many and any kind of issue, like breakups or anxiety or trauma, depression, and so on. Because we all know therapists, coaches, NLP practitioners, we know that these are symptoms of the real problem. And many times, it's not the event that is affecting us, but the meaning we attach to that event. And talking about the breakup, people who break up, I've been working with men all over the world, help them heal after a breakup and find their ideal relationship.
That's great. ACH, so horizontal hypnosis, so when a person goes into trance, closes their eyes, so is relaxed. But conversational hypnosis, are they awake then?
Yes, so you're gonna have like a normal conversation. It's more calm. You are totally aware of what's happening around you. You're not gonna go like you just go into trance for a few seconds, you come back. You just say something very quick, which is an unconscious belief, and I'm here to pick up on that and help you change that. With ACH, you're gonna find the root cause of the problem. That's why you need to pay 100% attention to your patient, to your client, and understand what they're really saying, and really look at them and make eye contact and pay 100% on what they're saying, attention. So you're going to pick up on these unconscious beliefs, and therefore you're going to get to the root cause of the problem and heal that and change the meaning that they attach to a certain event in their life. So this will help them, it's like reprogram their mind. They will be able to think differently, act differently. Therefore, they will have a different behavior that will lead to happy events.
Mm. So, okay, we were talking before about some case studies, and you were giving me a very clear example of a person who had just ended a relationship, or maybe the partner did, and they were feeling really low. So how did you help them? Can you explain to the public how that works exactly? How is that going to be working for them?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so a few months back, more exactly in December last year, I've been working with a man who was coming from a toxic relationship. He had a relationship, let's say, with a narcissistic person. He's been in a toxic relationship and he was really, really bad. He worked with other therapists before for like 6 months. He didn't see any changes. And then eventually he came to me. And after one session with advanced conversational hypnosis, he was completely transformed. But that person before, he had even thoughts of suicide, which is so sad, God forbid, but it's so bad because that person believed that that was the love of my life. And he didn't even realize that that person was toxic for him. So when he realized that, then he started to change. He started to be more happy. He started to act differently and see life differently. And after one session was completely changed. After that, after a few weeks, he started dating again. He went to buy a house for himself and start changing his life, not just relationship, but his entire life. And that's amazing. And that makes me so happy when I see these results and I'm receiving these messages from people. Thank you, you changed my life. It's amazing. You just wake up every morning knowing that you're gonna make a difference in someone's life.
Yes, and what's the better thing that we can do? There's nothing higher than that, to know that somebody is now living instead of suffering and feeling terrible. So this man had these beliefs. How did you uncover the beliefs?
So we start with advanced conversational hypnosis. As I said, we started with, as I normally start, please tell me what is the problem you are experiencing. And when you're going to ask them what is the problem you are experiencing, they will go and talk about the problem. What is the real problem, not what they believe consciously. So pay 100% attention and pick up on these conflicting beliefs that they will have, because they will have that. It's like, I want to be good and I want to be bad. You cannot be both in the same time. You need to pick one, because how your mind works, if you have these conflicting beliefs, if your mind doesn't know what you want, it will cancel. They will cancel each other. So that's what we have to change. And change that belief that they have at an unconscious level. After you do that, after the session, that's when the transformation happens, when the processing is starting. And they would have many aha moments, illuminate moments with solutions that will work for them. It's like you are going to different shops. You try different outfits until you find the right outfit for you. That's how your unconscious mind works. Search for the right solution for you that will work for you. And then when you find the right solution for you, that's how you are going to be for the rest of your life, unless you change that.
Isn't that great? Maybe I should have had some ACH when I was young and I was dating younger. I'm still young, obviously, as everyone knows. And when I was dating, and maybe the boyfriend, after a week or a month or 3 months would say, "Oh, I'm out of here." And, I was like 18, 20. And I was like, what's wrong with me? I always thought, what's wrong with me? But in the end of the day, actually, it's not what's wrong with us, isn't it? And relationship ends for many reasons, because we're different. We have different values, different directions, different habits, which can be terrible to live with. And sometimes we just start a relationship for the wrong reason, because maybe we are attracted physically, which is very typical, to be visually enamored with a person and thinking that because we like him physically, because they look familiar somehow, because we tend to go for the same type of person as well, sometimes similar to one of our parents. And then because they're familiar in their behavior or looks, we think we're going to do great. And then we realize that there is nothing there. So the relationship fizzles out because there is nothing there. However, we might also have an anxious attachment style, be very clingy and looking for people of a certain type and who actually do not want an anxious person, and they push back. And when we ask more questions, they push back. When they go, we're like, what have I done wrong, So there are lots and lots of relationship things, but even without being a relationship expert or having a degree in psychology or marriage counseling, we can see that sometimes a person will end up with an abusive, toxic, even narcissistic partner. How is that possible that we do not recognize that a dangerous person is in our life? How do we fall in love with people like that? How is that possible?
It's also about maybe their childhood. Maybe that's so familiar to them that, your mind always goes for what is familiar, even if that thing is not good for you. But for your mind, it feels safe because it's familiar, because it may be what you always had in your childhood. It's something you were used to. And unless you change that, let's say you had a father who traumatized you, or you had toxic parents or siblings. And so if you had this all your life, then this is so familiar to you that unconsciously you might go for even the same type of person that reminds you of your childhood or what you always had, something that is familiar. So what we have to change is get there and change that belief at an unconscious level, so they will be able to make familiar a great person, an amazing person. And after that, they will not feel like they are attracted anymore by a toxic person, because you can make familiar whatever you want if you really want, and you can heal and you can change that.
Sounds so good. So we can heal, we can get better. I am so excited about this. So guys, if you're having this problem, that's how the system works. We have to really look at these beliefs. And yes, talking to my clients in all these years, I have picked up quite a lot of patterns. So if you have, for example, parents who are not able to communicate their feelings without hurting others or putting you down, parents who give you conditional love, or parents who are very dysregulated, so they cannot really cope with feelings of unease and anger, whatever, and they have to just unleash on the children, even grown-up children. So it is a little bit complex to live with in an environment where a parent or siblings or maybe people in school, in your city, in your area, are somehow very much on your face. Maybe they are attacking people, they are direct, they are threatening. And so you learn to become very, very small, for example, to just stay very much in the corner, which is not going to favor you when you're looking for a career or for mating later on. It's going to be very difficult. And so these behaviors are learned, aren't they? You don't know how to deal with your unsuccessful relationship.
Yeah.
And so you see how we are then pushed by society and advertising that to have success, we have to do this and that. And sometimes to put down a lid on the feelings, we might end up having substances, alcohol, addictions of all sorts, because we're trying to smother everything, but the feelings are just still there. So even if we go into drinking or whatever else, we're literally turning off a fire alarm of a fire is still raging. I will keep saying that if a fire is still raging, you have to understand what is the fuel there. And I seem to understand that ACH is going there to see what is the wood that we're putting there to burn. Is that a good analogy?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So with ACH, you're going to find out what is the real problem, what makes you have this low self-esteem, let's say, because so many people, they give up on their dreams, they give up on so many things in their life just because they don't feel like they deserve that. Or they would do things to, if they would have a relationship, let's say relationships, they will have a happy relationship. If deep down inside of them they don't believe that they deserve that relationship, they will do things unconsciously to destroy that relationship because they don't feel they're worthy of that relationship. So what we have to do is uncover that and change the belief that you're having about yourself. So then you're going to be able to change. Once you change at an unconscious level, it's like you reprogram your mind. You're going to start to have a different belief about yourself, to think differently, therefore act differently. And you're not going to be attracted by people who are toxic. You're going to start knowing your worth. And if you have dreams, you're going to start doing the work in achieving your dreams. And once you have that incredible conviction that you can do anything, you can move mountains. And you're going to do all the work that you need in order to get where you want to be in life. Whether if you want to have a loving relationship, whether to have a successful career, whatever you want in your life, you can do when you start believing in yourself.
True. And so does this also work if you have an unhappy relationship in the home with your own parents, with siblings, people who are around you as family and friends, not just love relationship? So can you use ACH to improve relationship with anyone that you think are not working? Do you, for example, you realize you're losing friends all the time, or people are using you a lot, you're always running around to make everyone happy, all sorts of. So does it apply the same principle to anything? Yeah.
Definitely. Everything is just a symptom of what you are experiencing. If you have, let's say, relationship problems, but not relationship with anyone, with friends, with family, with everyone around you, that's just a symptom. So of course we can use ACH and uncover that and see, okay, what's making you doing that? What's making you have these problems with all of these relationships that you're having in your life?
Some people might ask, so what's the difference then between that and having, for example, counseling? Isn't counseling designed to also make you aware of these patterns?
Yes, but with ACH, it's really fast. You're not going to go advanced conversational hypnosis, you're not going to go for years. Many people can have an incredible transformation, and they have. I'm working with many people from all over the world. 1, 2, maximum 3 sessions, but that's going to change their entire life. Not years, months. That's a waste of time, and you're going to go straight to the root cause. Because with counseling, yes, you are talking about that. But if you are keep talking about the problem every single week for months and years, you're just going to make worse that problem if you don't interrupt, if you don't get to the root cause of the problem.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so thank you. That's an interesting point of view, isn't it? Because some people say, I just do counseling, it works. Well, maybe it works if you're doing a couples therapy when they have to actually teach you how to work within a couple, but when how to deal with the whole family relationships all together, work with 5 people together. Okay, I can see counseling together, help this, help that, help that. I like how this is more precise focus on seeing what is actually behind. So start even earlier, what's behind, and so that's the difference. It's going to be faster, more precise, and you don't have to go into trance as such. So people who are maybe a little bit worried about losing control, because some people still think that being hypnotized means losing control, but honestly, we are in hypnosis most of the day. We're doing things automatically all day without thinking. Our subconscious mind is running programs the whole day because we want to be efficient. We want to do things faster, and the only way to do that is to repeat the same stuff that we've been doing for years. And because that seems to be the easiest way of going, so every time I'm annoyed, I'm gonna grab a brownie or a piece of cake, or oh, I'm not feeling good, so I'm gonna have my diazepam, or whatever it is, I mean, I'm not saying that we should never take anything. Sometimes there are emergencies when we need to take something, certainly not alcohol. But chocolate, for example, is so good for you. But there is a difference between feeling down, having some chocolate, and every time you feel down, you have some chocolate. When there is this connection, it becomes bigger and bigger. And then you look at yourself and say, why am I always eating every time I'm feeling low? So where is the connection? When did I start this connection? And how can I break it so I can eat liberally and without eating my feelings and just eating for nourishment and for joys and not for smothering again these uncomfortable feelings. So that was great. And I learned a lot. So I hope that you guys at home have got some questions to ask us. And in a few minutes, we will tell you how to find batteries. So you can ask a question, maybe have an ACH therapy session with you, maybe 2 or 3. And it would be such a good tool for coaches and other therapists to add this to their toolbox because sometimes that's all they need. And I was wondering if there is a person in this moment that feels like they can't cope, they have too much going on, relationship breakup, maybe a marriage dissolving, maybe you're doing too many things, you're studying, you're working, you're having your family, you have too much, and you feel like you're disgregating. And what tips would you give to people who are on the verge of breakdown?
What I would say to people who are going through a breakup or they went through a breakup and they feel like they can't move on, it's really important to find connection with people. We all need that. When you going through something like that, don't stay in the house alone. And yes, you need to cry, but not for months. You just need to cry to release all that hurt. And go out. As I said, have connection with people. Take care of yourself. Self-care. Talk to yourself nicely and understand that if that happened, that person wasn't meant for you. Because what happens is that many people, they cannot move on because they believe that was the love of their life. But think about, if you break up, it's not the love of your life, and the right person will come along and will love everything about you. Because if that person left you, that doesn't mean that they took away everything what they loved in you. They're still in you. And you're gonna be able to move on, work on yourself, work on your dreams, work on your passions, go out and have connection with people, go out in the sun, exercise, eat healthy, drink water, listen to some music that you like, but most importantly, have connection with people. And if that happened, that doesn't mean that your life is finished. You're still gonna be able to move on, and you're still gonna be able to be happy. And once you're gonna heal, then you're gonna find the right person for you. Sometimes things are just, finishing because maybe you need to work more on yourself to meet the person that is meant for you. And so then God gives you the time to work on yourself and heal. And sometimes, many times, as I said before, it's so familiar for many people to go after a person that is so familiar to them, and sometimes is a toxic person, something that they had in their family. So what they have to change is change that belief of what they deserve at an unconscious level, and truly believe in themselves, and truly believe that they deserve a relationship that is amazing, and that is a good person, that they cherish them and respect each other, because this is all about. There are 3 things that is really necessary in a relationship to work. Best friend chemistry, to really respect each other. The second one is love, of course, because if you love the other person, then you're gonna be able to, life is not easy sometimes, and life is not pink, and a relationship is not gonna be always, let's say, pink. Sometimes you might have misunderstandings, but if there is love, then you can still forgive and move on. And the third one is sexual chemistry. So all of these, they're working together. But most important is the respect. To love and respect each other and have each other's back no matter what.
Thank you, Beatrice. It was a lovely set of tips that anyone should consider to add in the toolbox for a happier life. And I'm so glad we had this time together. I'm sure that a lot of people are now looking forward to checking out your website and see what you've done and your achievement and how you can help them. So where can we find you? I know we're going to have links down below in the video, and if you're listening to the podcast, there will be something there in the text. But just in case people forget, where are you in the virtual world, on the internet?
Yeah, so they can find me on Facebook, Beatrice Zamfir. They can find me on Instagram, the same Beatrice Zamfir. On LinkedIn, Beatrice Zamfir. They can find me on TikTok, YouTube, Pinterest, Twitter, not Twitter because now it's X. So they can find me everywhere, even on Google. And yeah, if they have any problems they need help with, I'm now also training, doing the training for other therapists, help them get the same fastest results that I'm getting with my clients without having to prepare for the session and give the fastest transformation possible. They can contact me. I'll have my next training on the 28th, 29th and the 30th of October. It's going to be the next training. And they can join even now because there is the course already. I had my first training in July. And they can ask me for more details. I'll be happy to share and help them.
It would be so nice, if people want to know more about ACH, that's the place where to go. You might be able to have conversational hypnosis with your own friends and impress them with your understanding, how you're connecting the dots, and help them to feel better, to live better, because in the end of the day, we're trying to achieve happiness and calm and balance in our life. And if there is a person that helps us to see clearly what's actually going on, that is always welcome. So thank you so much for being with me, Beatrice. It's been such a pleasure. And did you want to say bye-bye?
It was an immense pleasure to have me. Thank you so much.
It's great to have such amazing guests week after week. If you guys like this episode, please share it. Send the link to a friend who needs to hear these words of compassion and grace and self-love and self-understanding, but also words of self-work, because we also need to work to improve ourselves. Just because we are enough, that doesn't mean that we cannot get even better and maybe overcome those little annoying habits that we have that might ruin relationships. So it's always good to work on ourselves. The end is when we die, even there, but it's no end. I don't think so. So thank you so much, everyone, and I hope you have a wonderful week, and thank you for being with us. Take care. Bye-bye. You've listened to Create.